your glasses and repeat after me. I'm gonna be financially free. I'm gonna be financially free. I'm gonna be financially free. Glad now you're learning like Wesley. That's his daddy, no Pinocchio. He gon' teach you how to build a portfolio. Prince is intelligent, energy, and integrity. He'll show you how to build a legacy. Like, hey, oh, we enjoying it, and that's the show. Like, hey, oh, we enjoying it, and that's the show. Georgia made, Denver paid, Georgia made it.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and children of all ages, you are now tuned into the Investor Show. As always, glad to be here. And I definitely know you guys and girls don't have a lot of time, so we're going to jump straight into it. As you can already see, we got a very special guest on here with us today, Mr. John Hope Bryant of Operation Hope. A man who doesn't need any introduction. I would be here all day if I read his bio. But you know, as you already know on this show, this episode, I'm always going to bring you good quality content. We're going to be talking about his new book, Financial Literacy for All, that I had the opportunity to pick up and read. And you guys already know how I feel about financial literacy. You know, this guy, you talk about venture capital, presidents, you know, I mean, it's too much to name. So without further ado, let me bring in our guest today. But hey, if you haven't done so already, please go ahead and make sure. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell icon. Hit that like, comment, and share button. Mr. Bryant, how you doing today, sir?
I'm blessed, my man. Good to be with you. My honor. And a prince of a guy. Just was waiting to say that.
You're down in Atlanta, right?
I'm on travel at the moment to Memphis, Tennessee. I'm actually at the home of the CEO of First Horizon Bank at the moment, using his office. But I live in Atlanta. I reside in Atlanta. I live on a plane. So I'm here. I'm here doing the American Aspiration Tour for the book with Mayor Paul Young tomorrow. We're doing a town hall like we did with Mayor of Atlanta, Andre Dickens, we did last week when the kickoff. So, yeah, but I live in Atlanta, to answer your question. Yes, sir. Reside in Atlanta.
Got it. Now, speaking about financial literacy and your book that you're doing, as I mentioned earlier, we sat down and we had the opportunity, and also to your Operation Hope here in Denver. I'm in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
So Miss Noreen wanted to make sure I told you. She said hello. She, you know, I told her I was going to be sitting with you as well. So she wanted to make sure, you know, give her shot to
Senator Hickenlooper, who used to be the mayor of Denver. We went in the classroom together. He's a friend. We went in the classroom together and taught financial literacy. It has to be a decade and a half ago when I first brought the programs to Denver. And he's now your U.S. Senator. And I've met other people and have a relationship with other people, leaders there. And my friend Gerald Albright and Liz Albright, the jazz artist, lives there in Denver. Denver's a great place. It's a great city.
I definitely I was trying to get you I wanted to get you in the studio here, but I know Denver wasn't really on your tour.
I'm coming.
You know,
I'm coming.
When you come, I would love to have the opportunity to do this face to face in the studio, or maybe come down to Atlanta one day. Yeah. But one of the things I want to talk to you about that you hit on your book, you hit on a lot of different topics, right? One of the things you spoke about was educating our entrepreneurs, right? We need to educate our entrepreneurs about business, about finance, and things like that. Now, there's been this notion when people say that a lot of Black entrepreneurs are over-mentored, undercapitalized, right? And I think you mentioned this before, and we have this particular mentorship. Now, a young entrepreneur that wants to get into that particular field.
This for the record, I disagree with that statement. Over-mentored, undercapitalized. Yeah. They don't realize that capital is the mentoring. Relationship capital is capital. But anyway, let me let you finish.
Okay. And that's why I want to give you the floor on. How do you feel when you say someone is saying, hey, reading your story, read it in your book, when you started out in California, the two guys that mentor you and one that invested into you for the first time, how did you find your mentors? What would be your advice to say, hey, getting capitalized and get mentored?
Yeah, they didn't find me. I found them. Yeah, nobody's sitting there looking around going, ooh, let me find some poor Black kids to help. I mean, let me try to find a poor black kid to hand a $10,000, $100,000 investment check to that I have no relationship with and no connection to whatsoever. Just, I mean, that's just irrational, right? Even people people listening to this, watching this, folks try to avoid you because they think that you're going to ask them for some money. They know you and love you. They try to avoid you. What do you think a stranger's going to do? So this, I had to go find my mentors. I researched. This was pre-internet. I researched. It was pre-email and texting. It was pre-social media. It might have been pre-internet. I'm trying to think. It might have been.
I think from what I was reading, I know you was working at the movie theater, and when I was looking at the years, I think that's probably like pre-common day internet.
Yeah, it was pre-internet. Thank you because Mayor Tom Bradley, who was a mayor of Los Angeles, nobody knows he was mayor 20 years, of the first black mayor of a major city because for 20 years because there was no internet. There's no record of it. So it's pre-internet. So I did the research the hard way, man. It was dictionary. It was articles. It was newspapers. It was reputation. It was television. And I lived in Compton in one particular case, South Central in another. So when I was in South Central, I'm like, okay, I need to raise capital for my ideas. I need to operationalize my ideas. Well, nobody around my neighborhood has any money. They're nice people. I got to go where the money is. But when I say this, Prince, I want to make it very clear. I wasn't even thinking about the money per se. It's all money is an exchange of currency. Is a means of exchanging value. That's all it is. Rock, paper, scissors, bartering, trade. These are other forms of exchanging value. So currency is. I mean, I can write a check on the back of your white polo shirt there. I can write a check, put the routing number, whatever. Take your shirt with you wearing it to the bank, and they'd be hard pressed legally not to cash your shirt. So currency is just nothing more than a means of exchanging value. So it wasn't about the money. I was like, where's aspiration at? Where success live? And success was in Malibu for me. It was a place I saw on TV. So I lived in Compton. So I used to ride the bus initially from Compton to Malibu. And then I got a raggedy car that would break down every 2 weeks. And I'd put that stuff in the radiator so it would clog the holes in the radiator. You got it from Pep Boys. When the radiator would overheat and leak, I put that stuff in the radiator. I couldn't afford to repair the radiator, so they would clog the radiator up hose. It was like patchwork. I had retreads on my tires. I could afford new tires, real tires. So anyway, went there, worked at Gladstone's for Fish, which was a restaurant. I worked as a busboy at 5 a.m. on Monday. Worst shift, worst day, which means I was really bad at it. And then I worked there for a couple of weeks, Prince, and I realized I was waiting on doctors and lawyers. Well, I don't want to serve the people serving the people. I want to serve the people who are the people. I don't want to serve the doctor or the lawyer who's serving the rich people, the wealthy people, the successful people. So where do I go to see real success? Well, that was further up in Malibu, another 20 minutes to a place called Joffrey's Restaurant. So I went another 20, 30 minutes up the coast. Now we're talking about an hour and a half from my house, 2 hours maybe with traffic. And make a long story short, I met the guy who owned the restaurant, Joffrey Etienne. I got hired as a bus boy and then a waiter, Monday night shift, horrible. And I was very bad at it, but I got to know them. And I got to know some of the clientele who were real success people. I mean, they were CEOs and owners. And I met the owner of Joffrey, his lover. They were a gay couple. His lover was Harvey Baskin, who was worth $200 million. We call it $2 billion today. And I befriended Harvey. That was the power behind the power. And so Harvey's like, "You want to come work for me?" Yep. Now I was already working at the restaurant, but he was the investor, and he had a house up on Malibu Road where he worked out of. And I got a chance to go be an assistant to him and just sit there and listen, the ear hustle of all he was doing. And he never gave me a dime to invest in anything, but he changed my life, man. I mean, just watching him operate I used to call him Jesus because he walked around in this robe, and yet, I don't know. I don't think he was wearing underwear. There was nothing on. I think this robe, and he had sandals on and long hair. He looked like Jesus to me, Jewish guy. And but to me, that was freedom, Prince. He could dress any way he wanted because money is freedom. And so I listened to him, and I'd ask him all these questions. So I'm over answering your question, but this is really important. This is my relationship.
No.
So one day I asked him, could I take him to dinner? And his favorite dinner was in Venice, California. I think they put this in the book, actually. And we go to dinner to Venice, and I had to drive him as Daisy. I had to drive him because he'd broken his leg. So he's in the back, in my Audi, he's in the back seat with his foot up on the front seat, pushed forward on the passenger side. I didn't care what it looked like. We got to the restaurant, ordered $100 worth of dinner, which back then was like, I don't know, $500 today.
Yeah.
And I peppered him with questions. So the bill comes, and he passes the bill to me. Well, I passed the bill to him. He passed the bill to me. I passed it back, and he passed it back. He said, "Hey, John, stop it. This is the key of this point, this message. John, you got to figure out whether you want to pick my brain or pick my pocket." Man, changed my life. And I only had $120 in my pocket. And I got gas on the way down. He was paying me $20,000 a year. It wasn't a lot of money after taxes. But I took my last $120. I gave $100 for the bill and $20 for a tip because it wasn't the waiter's fault I was broke. And I got back in the car and I drove Harvey back to his house. And what I didn't know, Prince, is I just passed a test. I just passed a test. Was I in it for a transaction about me, or was it about a relationship about we? And did I value what was going between his two ears, his brain, or was I just trying to get what was in his pocket, his money? Was I going to win the battle and lose the war? So that guy put his arms around me, Prince, and he introduced me to everybody. He hooked me up. He took me everywhere he went. I was his dude. I was his guy. I was his young mentee that he embraced, and he introduced me to a lady. And I've never said this in public ever. He introduced me to a lady named Kip Morrison. She's not in the book. Kip Morrison owned a PR firm. She worked for Harvey. And years later, when I was broke and I was homeless, I called Kip to ask could I rent an office from her. I had $500 to my name. And she said, sure. I met her through Harvey, so I was credible. She had an office in Beverly Hills. I need a good address. And I lived in that office. I could rent an apartment or could rent an office, but the apartment not gonna make me any money. That's profiling. I rented the office at a Montero Jeep that was 2 months late on a car payment, and people were looking for the Jeep. And I'd stay there from 8 in the morning to about midnight. I'd go into the restroom at Kip's office, clean up, wash the collar off, the dirt off my collar of my white shirt, off of my cufflinks of my cuff of the white shirt, wash my shoes, make sure they're clean, get in my car, drive to La Tejera Airport, park my car, put the car cover over the license plate so nobody could come and see that the car was up for repossession. I did that for 6 months until I earned enough money through marketing contracts I was doing as a consultant to get an apartment. That's relationship capital. So on that whole story I just told you, no one gave me a dime. So this whole thing about, I'm over mentored and undercapitalized, you don't understand what capital is.
So young people, especially, young people and, myself, I'm 39 years old. Looking at the world, I see so many people go in, they say, hey, I want to connect with this person. And you're right. They're like, well, they didn't give me anything. I didn't get any. Exactly. I didn't get any money. And I always tell people business, the root of business is relationships.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a relationship first. If you have no relationship, you just walk in thinking, hey, I want this. It's probably not going to happen. So I'm glad to see you said that. The next thing I want to step into, you spoke about broken capitalism. How did we get here? Broken capitalism. Can you explain to us what is broken capitalism?
Broken capitalism is two things. I love your questions, by the way, Prince. They're very thoughtful. One is bad capitalism. That's slavery. So a great example of bad capitalism is slavery. That was capitalism. That wasn't personal. It was, how do I make money for free? And I don't care what it hurts anybody. And so bad capitalism is where I benefit. Sorry, and you pay a price for it. Good capitalism is where I benefit and you benefit more. So when you go to the store and you need a comb for your hair, it costs you $7, but it's worth $7 to comb your hair. And so you buy that comb and you're happy with it. That's good capitalism. You got untold value. You're able to, give yourself nice grooming, or the razor, or the football behind you, or that gave you a lot of love and fulfillment. So you're happy with whatever that football cost you, and the computer screen to my right, your left, that gave you fulfillment, right? It gives you fulfillment every day. And so it's worth more than what you pay for it. All this is capitalism. Like the cabinet behind you, the door behind you in the house that you bought or you're renting. These are all transfers of value, right? Good capitalism is where I benefit more than what I'm paying for. Bad capitalism is where I pay a price for it, and you benefit, and that's slavery and Jim Crow and all that kind of stuff. And now a current example of that is DE and I. The pushback against DE and I is an example of capitalism needing a software upgrade. So on the one hand, you got bad capitalism. The other way, you got broken capitalism. I wrote a piece that's out this morning in Time Magazine that's entitled basically how women like VP Harris changed the world. And it's not an emotional piece. I like math because it doesn't have an opinion. In the 70s, women couldn't get a bank account. In the 70s, women couldn't get a credit card. You don't get a loan if your husband co-signed it. Prince, not 1870, 1970. Mm. And because of affirmative action that was created under Kennedy and Johnson and then codified by Nixon, yes, a Republican president, but Nixon was just trying to prove he wasn't a bad guy. I'll take progress however we get it. But then the courts diluted that benefit to blacks, so white women benefited from it. Mm. That was my point. 25% of all GDP today, gross domestic product, income for the nation, are women today. So capitalism didn't want to help black people in the 60s, 70s, but said, okay, we'll give this little token help to white women, because the white women had been able to get through the door. They opened the door to black women, Latino women, Asian women, all women. Today, all women, as a result of that, are 25% of the GDP of this country. So it was an accidental leap forward, in spite of people didn't wanting to move forward. But that is responsible for America being the leading economy in the world today. If we had not done that, as I say in the Time Magazine piece, we'd be an also-ran nation today. I also talk about that in the Business Plan for America, which is about diversity as a business strength. And I'm going to introduce a new phrase to replace DE&I, because I think DE&I has been butchered to death by those trying to kill it. So it's got a stain on it. I think we need to replace it probably with something that's clean slate, like inclusive economics or inclusive growth, inclusive capitalism, right? But the reality is still the same. Diversity is a business strength. It's always been a business strength. But broken capitalism says, I refuse to look at the facts. Don't bother with the facts. I've already made up my mind. And so you're going to win the battle and lose the war. So slavery, Mississippi not just Mississippi, was the richest city in the world, Prince, in 1840. Yeah, richest city in the world per capita. So it's in the book, Financial Literacy for All. I go through this whole thing. Half of American exports were cotton, read black slaves. Some of the early millionaires were created because of black people. And black people were worth twice what railroads were worth in 1850. And railroads were rumored to be worth more than anything in this country. Slavery hit a wall because it could not upgrade. You cannot get a software upgrade on repression. It hit a wall. Civil War. It ended. Now the poorest state in America is Mississippi, where the richest city in the world used to be. So, the city of Atlanta, richest city in the South, the traditional South, 10th biggest economy in the entire country, run by my friend Mayor Andrea Dickens, built as an international city by my mentor, Ambassador Andrew Young, who was a mentor to Dr. King. Inclusive morals and money went together, and now this is a $450 billion economy. But every state around it, Prince, is cheaper, is poorer, than the city of Atlanta. Every state around Atlanta is poor because we embraced this inclusive economic philosophy. Doesn't mean we don't have problems. Now the problem is not racial in Atlanta; it's economic. You have poor blacks and rich white blacks. You have poor whites and rich whites, right? But we can work and solve in that one. That's much easier to solve than a racial issue, I think. So, again, I overanswered your question, but it was an excellent question, which is we have got to get out of our own way.
And what do you mean by what do you mean an example of us getting out of our own way?
Well, what you just said. So racism is getting in our way, okay? But we over-index on racism. We over-obsess about that because if racism was the end-all, be-all, if it was everything, it's something. But if it was everything, you would not have rich blacks and poor whites. So rich whites and poor whites. You just have rich whites. You wouldn't have blacks doing well, killing it right when they come into the country 2 years later, 3 years later. Nigerians, Ghanaians, South Africans, Jamaicans, Bohemians, and then African Americans who are stuck in ghettos. They're only black ghettos in America, by the way. They're not Nigerian ghettos in America. They're not Ghanaian ghettos in America, right? So that's mindset, right? So on the one hand, we over-index, we overemphasize on things like race. On the other hand, we don't understand the civil rights issue of this day, financial literacy. My book, Financial Literacy for All, pointing the way to that, which is, I think, the civil rights issue of this generation. And then we get up. To the extent that we look at that issue, we want to be paid. To your point earlier, immediately. We want. How do I get paid right now? I want to get money right now. I want that dollar, I want that buck, right? And that's wrong. You're going to win the battle and lose the war. It's not about the money. It's about the mindset.
Because you was about to go into one of my other questions that I had, but that's a good point that you made. Now, something I want to do
every now and then.
That's a good point that you made. We're going to get, because you spoke about that in one of your chapters, right? About the fast money, right?
Yeah.
Now, something I want to get into institutional business, or some people call it B2B versus B2C, doing business with other business. And what I mean by this, let's say you and I came together and we put up $50,000 and we created a tomato farm, right? And we sell tomatoes, then we smash the tomatoes up, we make ketchup, whatever, right? So when I look at it and say, hey, when you look at like a Heinz ketchup, they got deals with, I don't know, sports franchise, restaurants, jails, cafeterias, you name it. They're doing business with a bunch of other businesses. Whereas I look at a lot of minority businesses, they're doing business with each other. You and I, we're online trying to sell ketchup and tomatoes to each other versus saying, hey, let me go in and get this deal. But the hard thing about the institutional business is the way it's set up is that you're really not needed. We already got ketchup. What are you going to bring to our table? We already got, McDonald's already got Coca-Cola products. So if we create a new soft drink line, how do we break into the institutional business started from where we are today?
Man, I love your questions. You're a smart guy, man. It's everybody needs to listen to you and buy my book, by the way. But
John, I want to say one before you get into it. And this came off of when you spoke about how poor white Americans got left behind. Yeah. And I kind of put it into the context of when I was reading it, I was thinking like, okay, if you want to go do institutional business, how can you break that, that system that's already there? Not against you, it's capitalism. Hey, we're doing good business with these people. So now I want to go bring it.
And this is look, I'm going to try to be very pointed in my answer because this could be another hour podcast just by itself. I'm going to try to be very pointed. It's a very good question. Look, if you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. Mm-hmm. If anybody has heard me on any videos, on social media, you've heard me say this. It's not just a nice saying. It's literally true. If you hang around 9 broke people, you'll be the 10th. So why are poor people? Why are poor white people poor? They hang around other poor white people. And poor white people, in this example, are angry, which is why they're rioting at the ballot box with the former president. Former president's not promising to get them out of poverty. Former president doesn't have a business plan for the rest of their life. Former president doesn't have a venture capital firm. He's going to lift them up and fund each one of them $50,000, $25,000 each to start a business. The former president hasn't said, "Let me do a roundtable for you in Manhattan with all my rich friends." The former president hasn't even given them the respect to say, "Let me come stay in one of your houses overnight to see how you're living."
Mm.
See, that's how irrational this stuff is. They're an emotional, irrational, depressed mind just wants a reaction, not a response. And black people are the same way.
Mm.
We're very emotional.
Yes.
We get very wrapped up in stuff. By the time we get wrapped up in stuff, we're so exhausted. We're not even interested in solving the problem anymore. We just it's the drama of it all,
Mm-hmm.
right? So so you go to the club tonight, and you pay $5 for bottle service for a bottle of champagne that costs $10 in a VIP area that you wouldn't stand in during the day if you could see it in the daylight because it's disgusting. And you've now funded you and trying to floss because of our low self-esteem or insecurities, whatever. You now fund all your friends so that other broke people say good things about you to other people that don't matter about stuff that don't count in a world that don't see you. And so you just spent $2,000 at a club, $3,000 for a club, whatever it is, money you really needed to pay rent or whatever. And so you're looking for love in all the wrong places. So we don't spend the time. So let me answer your question directly. I like to answer your question.
Mm-hmm.
There are you know how many attorneys there are? You said catch up.
Yeah.
Let's use it. Let's use legal services as an example.
Mm-hmm.
You know how many attorneys there are in America per citizen?
I never looked up that statistic.
400.
One
attorney to every 400 people.
Wow. I know it's
Amazing,
that oversaturated with attorneys.
Nobody needs another attorney, but everybody's hiring them because I'm hiring you because I trust you. I like you. You're my friend. You're my buddy. I need so this industry, this world is vibrant. It's one of the law is one of the biggest industries in the world. But you're hiring them not because of the product itself. You're hiring because I want you, who happens to represent this or have this product or have this skill. And so relationship capital, once again, why should you be? I mean, I think a credit score is a 700 credit score is probably as important today as a college degree. And I want you to go, everybody listening, let's go get their college degree. Mm-hmm. But a 700 credit score gives you access to capital. If you're a caddy at an upscale country club, it may do better for you than I think it will do better for you than hanging out with your boys on the south side of Chicago every weekend for the next 5 years. Be a caddy once a month at the country club because you're going to ear hustle what's wealth creation is happening, and you're going to build rapport and relationship with people who can look. These people are not smarter than you. They're better hooked up.
Yeah.
And so people do business with people they respect, they admire, they trust, and they trade business opportunities. They trade. I was at a conference. I can't remember the name. I can't mention the name of it because of confidentiality. It is one of the wealthiest. It's a meeting of the wealthiest people in the world once a year. And Prince, they invite the principal, I would call a principal, the CEO. They invite my wife. They invite our children, if we had children. They invite the grandchildren, Prince. Think about this. Think about this. What are they trying to do? It's an investment bank now. They invite 3 generations. Prince, you're a smart guy. What are they trying to do?
Generational wealth.
Through generational relationships.
Relationships, yep.
They want the wives to talk. They want the husbands are already talking. They want the kids to talk and build rapport, trade phone numbers, hang out with each other. They want the grandchildren to play with each other, get to know each other. So as they grow up together, they start doing business together. So we're not doing I wouldn't say that any of that. We're not doing enough of that. We're not intentional. These folks are intentional about their wealth creation. We're intentional about our partying.
So let me get this right, John. So, Mr. Bryant, you're essentially saying in order to crack that institutional business level, you need to focus on relationship building.
Which is why I got so animated, and really, frankly, I don't get angry upset very often. But I actually got angry, upset, and frustrated with your first question because I know it's true.
Yeah.
Man, I'm over.
Yeah.
I can hear people saying I'm over mentored and undercapitalized. Man, get the hell out of here. You know where the word capital comes from? Comes from the Latin root word capitas, knowledge in the head. All this is in my book, Financial Literacy for All.
Yeah.
Where does the word credit comes from? From the Latin root word credito. It's credito, credibility. What's banking? It's a trust business. So you want capital so you can access credit so that you can access banking. So you want knowledge that gives you credibility so that you can access banking with your 700 credit score and your relationship capital to then get yourself the bank will then tell you yes to whatever it is you want. At midnight, the bank don't care who in the hell you are. At midnight, if you got a 750 credit score and you punch in, I want to buy a new car. Yes. I want a home loan at prime rates. Yes. I want a small business loan, 780 credit score. Yes. Here's some conditions to it. It's not saying, are you black? Are you brown? Are you woman? Are you, what club you hang out to? I mean, it don't care none of that stuff. So you've got, this generation has what no generation ever has had, which is if you just play the game the right way, you can win. But if you want to operate at a higher level, by the way, the bank will lend you money when you prove you don't need it. Now that's a vibe. That's a vibe. Now there's not a billionaire that didn't do it through good debt. There's not a billionaire that didn't do it through good debt. There's not a big economy of a country or a city that didn't do it through good debt. Now the way you access that money beyond the credit score piece, that next level of money, that non-recourse,
I want to ask you
is
something.
relationship capital.
The difference. What is the difference between good debt and bad debt? Since you was hitting on it, they made good debt by getting the billions. For the people that's listening, like, okay, because we're taught, some people tell you all debt is bad. So what is the good debt and the bad debt?
That's stupid. I'm sorry, it's not stupid. It's illogical, and that's one of the reasons we're broke. I mean, so the church is telling you. I'm sorry, my bad, because I'm spiritual, by the way. I'm a Christian. When I was growing up, my church would say, my little Baptist church, money is evil. Now the pastor got a little Chevrolet limousine outside and a driver. He's got 14 parishioners inside, and he's got a Chevrolet limousine going to his house in the suburbs. So he don't tell me that money is evil, but he's flossing on the money from the church and got a ground lease underneath it. I'm not hating on churches. I love church, by the way. I'm just saying that was complete hypocrisy. Money's not evil. It's the love of money that's evil. Okay? So we need to get that straight first. The I got so animated on that, I forgot your actual question.
The good debt versus bad debt. That's
so bad debt's financing jewelry.
Okay.
But bad debt's financing things that depreciate. Clothes, jewelry, that 26% credit card at the department store. That shiny credit card that's so pretty. Look at the details. Read it. 26, 28% interest rate. Bad debt is financing a vacation. Bad debt is financing a night out in the town with your girlfriends or guy friends. Good debt is financing something that may appreciate: a mortgage on a house, an education, small businesses, stocks, bonds. I don't even mind you using a little debt to go become an investor invest in the stock market, because now you get your mindset focused around being an investor. So good debt appreciates is a short version, and bad debt depreciates.
Okay. Now, you've done some of this. You made quite a name and money for yourself outside before you became into the nonprofit space. With real estate, having the largest single family home real estate for a minority, all those things like that. Before you got into the next question I got into, John Hope Bryant, what is Operation Hope?
Well, Operation Hope, which is my nonprofit, to be clear, and I've directed about $4.8 billion in capital, mostly from my investor partners and friends, into our communities. 4.5 billion of that through my nonprofit, Operation Hope. 300 million of that mostly through my one for-profit, Promise Homes Company. But I also have other for-profit entities. I have a joint venture with a joint collaboration with Ernst & Young, which is not yet announced. I have an advisory division. I have a media group. I've got So but my real estate, my affordable housing real estate company is probably my biggest win on Wall Street, where I grew that from zero to $160 million in value, sold it for $121 million, which is below market value. But I became an investor in the new company that bought the company from me. And I just resigned as chairman a couple months ago of that company. I'm still a shareholder there.
Now, when
And
I
by the
say,
way,
John, for somebody that
purpose of
hears
a
you say
company
that
is to build it and sell it, by the way.
from
So you
zero,
don't need to be emotional about that. Go ahead.
yeah, from zero to 160 million, how did you build this company, this real estate empire?
Bought one house and then bought another. I mean, uh, I owned 700 homes at the height, from Atlanta to North Florida. As you said, my largest minority owner in the
Were you
country.
doing HELOCs? Were you doing HELOCs like took
Mm-mm.
you
No,
just
no,
bought
no.
the house, then
Nothing fancy. No, no. I went, and it takes just as much energy to succeed small as it does to succeed big.
mhm.
So I started out buying 1 and 2 homes in LA, and it was personally guaranteed and all that stuff. I'm like, okay, I'll never really build really generational wealth this way. So I said, well, what's a different strategy? Let me buy portfolios of homes. So
Mm.
I went and bought 100 homes at a time, and I would joint venture with very big companies. I love joint ventures. I joint venture with very big companies and then use the asset of the company that I'm buying as a credibility. There you go, credibility. Yeah. And
Hmm.
then my capital is my knowledge, right? And then I have the trust of relationships of people who say John's a good guy. And so people then would be willing to back the asset with me or with me associated with, put the capital, the financial capital into it. And I said, I'll get you in and out of this investment in 5 years or less. And I had a commitment of $3 million from one of my investors, and they came back. They saw what I did. And, my God, this is so great. Can we put 30 million in? I
Mm.
said, sure. And they said, can we put 130 million in? I said, sure. So they ended up committing $130 million. I only needed $100 million of that. I actually used $88 million of that of debt and equity, and I ended up selling that company for $121 million, even though it was worth $160 million, which is a whole nother story. I really could have, my ego's wrapped up into it. I could have said, "Oh, I'm not selling this for a dime under $160 million. I'm gonna hold on to it," and I would have got a line of credit, paid off my investors, and had my chest out. I got 100. I would have been killed, man. The market would have destroyed me because the interest rates went up right after I
Mm.
sold the company. I sold the company Christmas Eve 2021. I mean, I could have made it work. If I did nothing but obsess on that company, I could have made it work. But I had other things I wanted to do, and I was exhausted. But I did that for 5 years. I was CEO of Operation Open Promise Homes Company at the same time. It was exhausting. I wasn't really sleeping, and I really wanted to pay my investors and clear the slate, even if that meant I did it at a discount. So I had 2 bidders at $121 million, and I sold the company to one of the bidders and just took a stake in the new company, even though I took a value discount of $40 million on the purchase price. I figured I'd pick up some value in the back end. But, the story is yet to be seen whether I will or not. But that was a bet I was willing to make. I do believe that was worth my peace of mind to leave that other money, that extra money, on the table. Here's a great one for people listening to you. Don't let the perfect become the death of the good.
Mm.
Don't let the perfect become the death of the good. Perfect was I got $160 million worth of value, and I'm not going to leave this until I get every dollar of it. No, no, no. The good is I got a buyer here at $121 million. I get to pay off every debt I've got, pay my investors off, clip a coupon on Wall Street, show I can get a deal done, live to fight another day, and hand this business off to somebody else is now their responsibility, and I get to be free. So our money is freedom to go do something else.
And you got
That's
some equity in the new company too.
There you go. Now you're talking.
I like that.
I'm a
Now,
king of joint ventures, man. I love joint ventures.
well,
I got a
one
bunch of joint ventures.
I'm gonna claim it right now. One day we will do a joint venture. One day we will.
All right, all right.
Now,
I like
I got
hearing that.
I got to answer this question because everybody love to talk about the upside. Mr. Bryant, what was your worst investment?
My ego. Man, I made so many bonehead decisions using my
Because this is what people
ego.
really can learn.
Yeah.
The downside. People love to hear the triumph, but people don't know through that process the worst side. So I want people to hear this.
Well, again, a lot of this is in the book, Financial Literacy for All. I was homeless. It's in the book. Some of my early stuff. I tried 100 businesses from age 10 to age 20. Most of them failed. That's why I was ended up homeless when I was 18. Covered a lot of that in the book. I did a management buyout of a company that I built from zero to $23 million. I bought that company when I was 21 years old. And then I started my nonprofit. I got distracted with the whole nother story. But I started volunteering for Mayor Tom Bradley. Started my nonprofit. I gave Mayor Tom Bradley an idea for Operation Hope before Operation Hope. It was a lending division. It was a lending group for the city of LA. It still exists to this day, by the way. And but I was told I was too young to run it, so I started it. And if I had fought, I started this. It's my idea. I'd still be sitting there as a director of that dang old thing. And I'm so glad I'm so glad most stuff I wanted I never got. God never gave anybody else something He wanted you to have. So that was I wish I could remember the name of the entity. I'll post something on it here soon, but it was some kind of a long-term lending group it's still in the city of LA. And I had the idea. I was a young kid. They didn't allow me to run it. It broke my heart. But that was a mistake. It really wasn't a mistake. But that was before Operation Hope. I had did this management buyout of this real estate company that almost broke me after I bought it. That was WCC Funding Corporation. I mean, there's all these micro examples, and then there's these big examples. Like I had at Operation Hope, we had these Hope Inside locations. They were called Hope Banking Centers, and there were whole buildings. And I was getting sued by the janitorial company for not paying their bill on time. It was a minority janitorial company. I was trying to help my people, and they're like, "Yeah, but you're not paying me on time." And then the funder stopped funding it. It was E-Trade. This was 2014. So I had a dual problem. I had vendors kicking my rear end, and I'm trying to help, and I had the funder saying, "I'm out of here." So my team was depressed, but I was impressed. I was like, "Oh, I knew this business model wouldn't work." I had 11 locations. And so I told my team, we're going to shut every location that's not self-sustainable. So I said, do an audit, which locations are sustainable? And the only location that passed the test was one that was inside of a bank branch in San Francisco. It was inside a bank in the West. And the reason that worked was, once again, my ego. I wanted the money from this bank. I wanted them to write me a check for like $2 million. And they're like, we're not going to give you any money. We'll build the bank branch. We'll put you inside of it. And that's got to be good enough. And we'll give you a few $100,000 for your administrative expenses. I was like, okay. That became my business model, Prince. So because I'm not paying for rent, I'm not paying for utilities, I'm not paying for the janitorial service is not suing me. I became a software company. Well, Prince, I have 300 locations today on that model. I have 300 locations. I'm sorry, I have 1,500 locations because 1,200 are satellite locations. More than that, actually. With Truist Bank, I have 800 locations. I have 100 locations with B of A, Wells Fargo, First Horizon Bank, the place I'm here now. But all of them are Hope inside of a bank branch, the same model. And if I hadn't made that mistake, if I hadn't had that bank cut me off of funding the box that there's 11 locations of a whole banking center, which by the way was a failed model. It was gonna fail. But I was like, no, we gotta hold on to this. If I hadn't been like, no, software grade, when you're being run out of town, get in front of the crowd, make like a parade, what's next? It said, what model is self-sustainable? Which of these 11 locations? And closed 10, kept one then became 7, 10, 100, 200, 500, now 1,500 locations.
Okay. So now, we didn't get to this question on the way. Operation Hope. I'm a regular person. I hear this. I'm in Denver. You got an Operation Hope branch here. What can I do? How do I get involved? Or what services are provided?
Operation Hope is raising your credit score 54 points in 6 months at a Hope Inside location. Raising your credit score 120 points in 24 months at a Hope Inside location. Lowering your debt $3,800 if you make sub $50,000 a year. Increasing your savings $2,000. Most people don't have $400 for an unplanned event in their life. All people, not Black people. So if I can raise your credit score 50 points, 60 points, lower your debt $3,800, increase your savings $2,000. You make $60,000 a year, $50,000 a year, and now walk you back over to the bank. The bank says yes. So we get the bank out of the no business. I'm sorry, you're declined for credit. Prime credit, back into the yes business. Yes, you're approved. That's why we did that's where the 4.5 billion of the 4.8 billion of capital I've deployed. That's where that comes from. We created through the 1 Million Black Business Program, 1MBB. Since George Floyd murder, God rest his soul, we've created, inspired, nurtured, supported, and advanced 450,000 Black businesses in America. And there's only 3.1 million Black businesses in the whole country. So we're 12%, just my nonprofit. Rainbows after storms.
Nice. Now, I want to ask this question too, Mr. Bryant. People that's listening, any book recommendations?
Mine.
And what we're going to do, I'm glad you said that. We're going to give out people that comment below, I guess, Operation Hope. We're going to give out two copies, Operation Hope to the first two people, right?
Cool.
Now, beyond that,
beyond financial literacy, for all I've got 6 books, by the way, but beyond my books, I'd say the Seven Spiritual Laws of Success by Deepak Chopra. It's a 70-page read. It's very easy. And that will get you bucked up internally. I think we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience. Energy matters. You gotta get that self-esteem up, that confidence up, that self-belief in yourself up, that being reasonably comfortable in your own skin, being detached involvement, that get your emotions out of your decision making. And so that book is great for detached involvement. The Power of Now, Eckhart Tolle. Read the book. Don't listen to it. The guy drones on forever. He's got a horrible voice, but read it. It's a big book, but it's worth it. And basically, the book says be present. That's why they call it present a gift. So yesterday's a memory, doesn't happen. It hasn't, it's done. It doesn't exist. Tomorrow's a future, has not happened. Prince, most people we know have one foot in yesterday, one foot in tomorrow. They're not present, which is why their life's not working. I would be happy, but I was molested. I would be happy, but I was fired. I would be happy, but I was discriminated against. I would be happy, but I was divorced. I will be happy when I get married. I will be happy when I get a new job. I will be happy when I move to Denver. No. None of that exists. All you got is this moment. And this moment creates the next moment. There's a book called Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. It's from 1940 something. Great book for those who are non-believers or trying to have belief in something larger and important for themselves. The Power of Now. I mentioned that. The Road Less Traveled by Scott Peck. I've got a lot of books. Susan Taylor has a great series of books. The editor from the former editor of Essence magazine. There's just so many books, and I'm constantly reading, man. I'm constantly reading. But a lot of my books are spiritual and purpose built. It's about building you up from the inside, so that you can show out on the outside.
Okay. Now, people heard you say this: civil rights versus civil rights. Can you break down what do you mean by that?
See, this requires you to slow it down, Prince. You got to say civil rights to silver rights.
Right.
You can't rush it. Silver rights. Yeah, slow it down. Otherwise, our big black lips are like silver
I know,
right?
civil.
So civil rights is in the streets. Silver rights is in the suites, the C-suites. Civil rights was about race and the color line. Is about race and the color line. Incredibly important. Civil rights is about class and poverty, economic ownership. The color is green, not black or white or red or blue. It's green. The new color, in my opinion, is currency green, at least in the U.S.
Okay. Now, I heard about this, and I got to ask you this question. The Hope Global Forum. Why haven't Prince Dice gotten an invitation to the Hope Global Forum? What's going on with this?
No, this is the best way to do it. My man's got me on blast on a podcast.
On blast.
And we've been talking about relationship capital and all this yang. And I told you that my mentors didn't find me, I found them, all this kind of stuff.
Exactly.
And he says, basically, why am I not invited? Okay, well, you just got invited. We'll give you some VIP media credentials, and we'll see you there. Just follow up with Kevin Boucher and tell him I sent you.
Definitely will do. Now, before we get out of here, I know you got to get running. Um, future of America. Young people today, they're looking at interest rates. They're looking at inflation. Markets at an all-time high. Presidential things going on. We came out of the pandemic. What is your future today, 5, 10 years now of America?
I wrote something called the Business Plan for America. It's a companion piece to my book, Financial Literacy for All. It's a pamphlet. Anybody who donates, anybody who can't say purchases, anybody who makes a donation of $25 to Operation Hope, and you'll get the book. If you sign up at the optional website, you'll get the book as a result of your donation. Plus, you'll get a pamphlet, both signed by me, called the Business Plan for America. Or keep it easy, go to Amazon or Walmart or a black bookstore and buy the book, and just go on to the web, go on the internet, type in Business Plan for America, and you can read for free what I wrote on the future plan for this country. God has a sense of humor, Prince. In 1950, America was 90% white.
Mm-hmm.
Today, America is 40% black and brown. And in 10 years, it's going to be a majority of minorities. And the best way to describe this is that the baby boomers, which are the wealthy white seniors who are going to be the majority population in this country in our generation, first time in history, is going to be a majority of older people in this country, our generation. They are wealthy white trying to retire. They want to go play golf. They want a vacation. And God bless them. But they've been taught by wealth creation. They create a lot of wealth. They're exiting the stage. Now if you think about basketball analogy, you got the G League. You got the G League, the people who are prepping for the NBA, and that's black and brown people. But the coach didn't show up to their G League practice.
Mm-hmm.
DE&I has been canceled. So DE&I is really R&D, research and development, for GDP, gross domestic product. DE&I is R&D for GDP, and they're canceling it. So all the folks coming out coming onto the field to play, no one taught them about money, capital, relationship capital we're talking about, or wealth creation. So how in the hell do the wealthy people believe this party's going to keep on going? My rich friends need my poor friends do better, if only to stay rich. And even a racist needs a black person to be successful, because when the black person is successful, the racist wins because GDP rises the entire economy. That's never happened in the history of this country, Prince. That everybody needs for us to succeed, and without us succeeding, America cannot continue to succeed. And we're the sole superpower in the world. We're the biggest economy in the world, and you never had a superpower that wasn't the economic power at the same time, ever.
Mm.
And so the Business Plan for America, what spells it all out, it's all statistically driven. It's mathematical formulas. It's not my opinion. And that's what makes it even more liberating. For the first time in history, America needs all of us to be successful for the next 10 to 30 years. There's not enough. Here's a drop the mic for you. And for all the people listening to you who are non-black, this is not a racial comment. There are not enough successful white men in America today to drive GDP, gross domestic product, for the next 20, 30 years. It's mathematically impossible.
Mm. Now let me ask you this question. What's the best positioning you will position yourself to take advantage of the Business Plan of America? Would you go to real estate, stocks, corporate America, own business, entrepreneurship? So a young person hearing this saying, like, that's great. How can I take advantage of that?
Uh-huh. That's the answer. Uh-huh. In other words, it's everything. What are you passionate about? Go into the biggest real business in the world is real estate in the world. The number one way to build wealth is home ownership, but only 41, 42, 43% of African Americans own a home. So that was an easy one. People say interest rates are high. No, they were high when my mother was trying to get a loan in the 70s and 80s, when they were 18%, 15% for a mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that we're used to free money after the global pandemic. It's been 1, 2, 3%. That's free money. 5% is not that bad, actually. I'd say engineering, technology. Anything in technology. Figure out where AI is going, artificial intelligence, and go where the puck is going. Meet technology, anything in technology, anything in healthcare, anything in management services, anything that's real estate related, anything that's financial.
Right. I forgot to ask you this. Cryptocurrency. What are your thoughts?
It's cool, but it's gambling. Yeah, it's cool. I don't like. I'm a control freak, man. I don't like doing stuff that is like a billionaire friend of mine said. By the way, my wife made money on Bitcoin, so be clear, I'm not dogging it. But she got lucky, by the way. But my billionaire friend of mine, she bought it when it was nothing. Um, a billionaire friend of mine said when he was at a milking conference, and somebody asked him about cryptocurrency. He said, "If you can tell me why the price goes up and why the price goes down, I'll buy some."
Yeah.
And no one can tell him because it's like cryptocurrency is like a popular gym. Like a gym membership is valuable if you use it and everybody's talking about it. But if everybody stopped using it, if people stop talking about it, the gym is just just a room with some equipment in it that has no value. And we've seen gyms come like clubs. They're popular and they die. And that's crypto. Most cryptocurrencies have gone out of business and taken the money with them. There's a few that have done well. By the way, black people are pouring into cryptocurrency because
Yeah.
people can tell it this whole get rich quick thing. Oh, the hell with capitalism, the hell with Wall Street. By the way, all the people, the big folks on Wall Street who own cryptocurrency, they cash out in U.S. currency.
That's what I always say. Like, they're like, hey, this
So
is replace the dollar, but it only has its value is based off of the dollar.
that's
So
right.
my thing is like I can't really do.
I like Bitcoin though. I mean, sorry, I like
Blockchain.
Yeah, I like blockchain.
So my thing is that you can't really do research because who's putting out the data? There's no governing body. There's no
That's
SEC.
right.
How can I don't know what the headquarters of Bitcoin is or whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know where it comes from.
Yeah.
But,
Well, you look. You said it. I didn't. But people don't like me talking about this because I'm not an advocate for it. I mean, well, I don't want you putting your rent money in Bitcoin. I mean, sorry, in cryptocurrency. Because you may lose it, and I can't do anything about it. And there's no government agencies you just said to go talk to. Like criminals love Bitcoin because it's completely hideable. It's like going to Las Vegas, man. You could win big or lose big, but you know who really wins all the time in Las Vegas? The house.
Yeah, the house. Yeah.
Vegas just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So could you win in Bitcoin? I'm sorry, I keep saying Bitcoin. Could you win in cryptocurrency? Yeah, and we've seen people win. Could you lose? Absolutely. And if you lose, there's no asset underneath cryptocurrency. Hello. At least with a stock, there's an asset underneath it. Real estate, there's an asset underneath it. But I don't like stuff when your asset is your ass. I don't like that.
Yeah. But Mr. Bryant, it's been great. Is there anything you want to leave people out there before you get out of here?
Just go do something. I mean, don't let the perfect become the death of the good. Just go do something, right? You want every problem have a beginning, a middle, and an end. Don't navel gaze. Don't analyze paralysis of analysis. Like I've been talking to a friend of mine's girlfriend. She's like 25, 26 years old about going back to college for 2 years. I'm trying to figure out which college to go to. Well, hell, you're gonna be 45 years old with that's how you keep on this decision. Like just pick one and go. And we want the perfect answer. Perfect doesn't exist. Just get an answer. Just go do something and then course correct along the way. No, here's my ending thought for you and your listeners. Success has 1,000 fathers, and failure is a bastard child. Nobody is gonna remember your failures, so don't obsess on them. Just get up and go do something. I take no for vitamins, man. I mean, I don't care if somebody telling me no. I was homeless. What you gonna do? Gonna hurt my feelings? Ain't gonna hurt my feelings. Yep, my self-esteem. Not when else my self-esteem depends on your acceptance of me. That's a Quincy Jones quote. So it's okay if you don't like me. I like me. I think just go do something. Just get out there in the arena. Understand that Hank Aaron had the record for the most strikeouts and home runs. Just start swinging and go to Operation Help, get your financial coaching, sign up to our business classes. We can help you. So we make it harder for you to fail, but don't be afraid of failure. As you said earlier, some of my best successes came out of my so-called failures.
Yep. That's why I was asking people that question about their worst investments. But that's going to be our time today. I definitely want to have you back on, especially when you're out here in Denver. I definitely want to have you down in the studio. But But ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is Mr. John Hope Bryant, Operation Hope CEO. Go grab his book, Financial Literacy for All. Comment below to get yourself a free copy, right? Comment Operation Hope and Financial Literacy for All, John Hope Bryant. Thank you guys. Until the next video, podcast, cartoon, or whatever else crazy you see me doing around the globe. Peace, be safe. I'm out, and thank you.
Glad to meet you. It's so much about
Who to be
money
Prince?
and Prince. He can teach you. Them other people scamming, so don't let them beat you. You might be new, but the YouTuber gets you through. The rough patches, bull and bear markets, different asset classes. You can make a mint if you listening to Prince. So raise your glasses and repeat after me. I'm gonna be financially free. I'm gonna be financially free. I'm gonna be financially